just wandering, going to branches, meeting people, meeting there, going to customers, not talking business. Just trying to understand, have a look, feel of sense, see what's happening around, what are the opportunities coming around.
Conversation, Captain Kundra. I have always been fascinated by how leaders like you walk into completely blank slates, like Greenfield projects, no structures, no system, just an idea and a deadline. And yet, you have not just built logistic operations from the grounds up. Hello and welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, the signature podcast by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today we have someone truly remarkable joining us. From the front lines of national service to the frontiers of global logistics, please welcome Captain Yogesh Kundra.
Thank you, Sunny. It's been a pleasure having you with me, and it's an honor to be here with you. I look forward to have a great conversation.
Honor is mine, sir. Not every day do we get to sit across from someone who has led with both medals and matrix. So from your early days in the Indian Army to transforming transportation businesses through digitization, automation, and sheer strategic foresight, you have carried leadership like second nature. Absolutely. From launching express cargo services from scratch, orchestrating the historic transport of world's largest granite statue, or driving multi-modal logistics across a 10 million ton cargo network. Your story is one of scale and substance, sir. Great. So let's get into it then. I'm really curious, and I'm sure our audience are too. When you look back, how did this whole journey begin for you? What set things in motion? And how did it all unfold from there? Please walk us through your journey.
Sunny, it has been a wonderful experience. I've been very fortunate that every role and the project which was assigned to me had a great learning opportunities. It provided me growth and also challenges to explore new ideas. It was not that I designed for it, it happened by default. The key success of the whole story is building up teams and making the teams get their goals clear and then keep inspiring them by telling them that they're doing a wonderful job. So my journey started after my innings from the services in when I chose to decide automobile as my career after uh, after my stint in the army. And I had the opportunity of joining TCI, the Transport Company of India, as a fleet manager, where the role was to induct fleet and operate the trucks, uh, which will ensure providing reliable services. This was in 80s, a bit early 80s, 83, 84, when transportation was supposed to be the most unorganized and unethical business area, where no one would like to join a transportation outfit. Only if he's not getting a job, he may get a job there, because most of the people were not educated, even the owners, the managers, or the operations. It was here that I was probably one of the few guys who took up the role of a fleet manager as after having a degree in mechanical engineering. So I had a fairly strong foundation technically to take up that role. I also, you must, TCI was that time a network of more than 750 branches, where every district, every major town had a branch. But that was an era where the communication was only postal. There were no computers, no internet, no mobile phones. It was only line communication. The only communication we had fast was the telex operation machine, which was also at very limited areas. So, having worked in those circumstances, inducting a fleet of 500 vehicles and making them operate in a uniform standard procedure was a challenge. I started my journey purely. I thought, if I have to be a fleet manager, I must know what the driver does and how he operates the truck. So I took I for about 3 months I was on the road, traveling with the truck drivers in the truck, moved in every highway of the country to understand, the work culture, the local traditions, and what practices they follow, and that gave me a complete understanding uh, of what are the challenges the fleet owner or fleet the driver experiences, what en route issues they have, what are the local areas where you need to be careful to see that things happen smoothly. So this experience of my journey of being on the road with the truck driver enabled me to develop strong processes, strong SOPs, build an operating manual, how the whole thing will take place. And after that, we converted these manuals into training modules. And we traveled extensively to over 50 hubs of the country, transshipment hubs, where we trained the fleet operators or the operating supervisors plus the drivers on how to use the best practices in driving. So this experience over 5 years gave me a complete insight on the fleet management. But more than that, this successful management changed the outlook of the transport organizations, because they never believed in having asset heavy operations. They were all believing in asset light, hiring vehicles from individual fleet owners, where the services were always compromised. So, having operated 500 vehicles successfully, connected the entire network of branches, gave the confidence to the organizations to become asset heavy, and they started buying assets. So that was a fantastic start we had, where the journey was tough, but the learning gave me a solid foundation in this as a fleet manager, which obviously gave me an extension to be the head of operations. The next couple of years, head the operations, which involved the complete management of a hub, delivery centers, your creating network centers, hubs, or uh, creating or building up route networks, scheduling of vehicles, pricing, customer service. The whole gamut of operations came under your responsibility, which really matured me as a complete transportation man. During this journey, while it was being done, I we and the appetite of the company was to expand to new areas. So got into uh, we found that the advanced countries in Europe were transporting liquids in rubber containers on ordinary trucks. We imported those containers and transported liquid on a normal truck. So the first shipment of about 10 vehicles carrying about 11,000 kgs of monoethylene glycol from Baroda to Bangaingo, Assam. I personally drove with the truck and delivered it successfully, which was a great product, but still we had to abandon it because the country was not having good roads, the network was not very stable, the the vehicle body is not standardized. So there was a failure in terms of after successful completion of the project, but still had to abandon the project. But on the flip side, the India was going through a major industrialization, and there was a huge demand of transporting special over-dimensional cargoes, heavy equipment, plant and machinery from the port to the site, production site, manufacturing site. So we took a decision to set up a project division. So had the opportunity of sorting the all leading manufacturers for special transportation equipment, hydraulic trailers, imported those trailers for the company, and took the team, entire operating team, to Germany for about 1 month for training them, and got the divisional operational. So while you were holding the fort of the operations, we were able to start liquid transportation. We were able to do ODC transportation, which eventually led to the installation of the Buddha statue. During this journey of operations, I realized that uh, at the delivery center, when the customer used to come to take his cargo for delivery, he was not able to locate his cargo. When the system will show the cargo has arrived, but it will not show where it is. And the poor chap will spend the entire day with the handlers to locate where his parcels are lying. If there are 10 parcels, he may get 8 parcels and 2 are missing. So that was the pain which was there, and we were not able to handle that because the technology and the infra was not there to support that. Then the learning came. Then we realized what is happening outside. We studied what FedEx is doing, what UPS is doing in US. That was in late 80s, and we realized that the time has come that the customer needs something more special, more time sensitive services, but it needs a separate infrastructure and uh, operating processes to launch a new service, which cannot be the run of the mill operations. So the birth of Express Cargo started, and Gati Express Cargo was initiated in 1989. That was a great journey in terms of you need to being time sensitive. Every minute was counted. We had that time GPS and tachograph was just a new thing in our country. We had used those to see that there's a complete visibility of trucks operating between the two cities. Along with that, we created a very innovative model, which is the backbone of today's e-com and food delivery business, was the first mile and last delivery. We developed the business associate concept, where the youngsters, the graduates were encouraged to buy a small vehicle through a backup support of finances to them, and they were responsible for first mile and last mile pickup. That was the real success story of Gati, where we could offer deskless cargo, time bound, if not money back. And today I feel that journey which we started in 1989 has matured, and today we are seeing the outcome is the e-com, where you and me are absolutely dependent on having pick up a phone and within 24 hours you have your stuff delivered to your house, or the food comes to you within 10 minutes or 20 minutes. We talk about deliveries in 10 minutes and 20 minutes. So that gives a complete satisfaction that the initial hard work which we put, the fruits are being seen by all of us in today's the same. While this was on, it was in 1990 when the project division which we started for ODC was executing the project of transporting that monolithic statue of 450 tons from a place called Marialguda to Hyderabad, shore of Hussain Sagar Lake. And then it was to be finished by the sculptures into a finished statue and transported to the center lake. During the process of transporting it on the barge on the lake, there was an unfortunate accident, and the statue toppled down into the lake face down. There was a commotion. We lost 8 team members, including the project head in this project. There was a time again when I was handling Gati. It was a very formative stage, just 1 year old. I was again asked to look after this project. So initially I took a part-time responsibility, then it became a full-time responsibility. Because initially, we never had the expertise how to handle this project. No one has done that. So it was just to do the crisis management. But when we got into that, we realized that yes, there can be a way of doing it. So we used to debate, brainstorm, what can be done, how it can be done. Ultimately, we could find, we said, okay, there's so much of large projects coming up in the whole country. I'm sure there must be someone who can do the job. So four of us, we just went for 10 days in different parts of the country. Like I went to Hajira, Gujarat, someone went to Chennai, South, went to Vizag, East, wherever large industries were coming up. We met a lot of people and explained them what we want to do or what is the issue we have. And we could find about 10, 15 people who had some idea of doing this project in terms of salvaging it and erecting it. We got them together, we understood their processes, their ideas, debated within ourselves with the expert committee, and finalize the vendors to retrieve and erect the statue. So that was something which the journey was only to manage the crisis. We were able to convert that into execution of project. It took us about 3.5 years to complete the project, but this journey of managing complex engineering issues in terms of it had marine engineering, it had structural engineering, it had uh, mechanical engineering plus civil engineering all combined together into one basket, and running it as a seamless was absolutely a great learning and challenge which I cherish even now. And it now any project which comes to you, you feel that it can be handled. Not that you are aware of it, but can be done. So this was a journey when we started with flush containers. Then I thought, I've enough been a service provider. Let me see what happens on the other side of the fence. So I went and joined the industry as the head of logistics, which was India Cements and then later Dalmia Cement, where the 10 to 12 plants we were managing, manufacturing plants, each plant churning out about almost 1 to 1.5 lakh tons of cement every month, finished goods. So the whole process of ensuring that the orders are booked efficiently by the marketing team, they are passed on to the logistics team, they are able to uh, ship out the orders to deliver within the committed time frame. The whole process was, was a great learning experience because we were all evolving. The technology was also getting evolved. It was not that everything was there. So we were scouting for technology. We could bring in digitization. We used GPS tracking systems. We used AI tools for routing, scheduling. All that uh, technology intervention plus your training plus your integrating the operation seamlessly was another experience of different kind, which was not there as a service provider. So we were managing large, large service provider, large number of service providers. Like we had almost about 150 transport contractors working all over the country for us for both first mile, second mile, and you had warehousing, senior agents. So all that uh, experience of bringing the entire or integrating everything under one platform, and then creating a dashboard to see that are the things happening in the right way or where the things are not happening, identifying that and then going and plugging it. So that was an experience which was by its own, and then started my journey in 2001 with Reliance. Reliance, the largest corporate, took a decision that they wanted to get into logistics services. It was very different, but their objective was very unique and very different. They wanted to sell diesel, and the only felt they said if I have large fleet of vehicles under my control carrying our logistics transportation cargo, they will take our diesel because diesel consumes 40% of the operating cost. We and going how Reliance is, they wanted to scale up pan India in a span of about 2 to 3 years time. So we created a unique model where we had a local entrepreneur identified in each state, formed a joint venture company with them with a common brand of Real Logistics, established 16 such companies across India so that we were able to cover the entire network, entire geographical area, leaving Northeast and the Kashmir side, and use the local talent, brought in the technology for them, gave them the branding, gave them the centralized marketing support to them, and made the operations successful that we were able to clock about 500 crores of billing in 3 years' time across the India, and then with a common brand. So that gave me an insight how a private limited company is run because you're on the board of each company. You were facilitating the local CEOs to run their operations. So that gave us a little insight how a board runs in a limited private company organization. So that was an experience by itself. then with the short stint of running a logistics companies, I thought that we all felt that the industry needs very skilled workforce, because the way we are expanding, the way the country is going, it needs skilled workforce, which is not there. And that's the time I became part of an NGO, Awan Academy, and established skill development centers in collaboration with the government, skilled the youth from the rural India who are all below the poverty line, skill them in domain knowledge of logistics, transport supervisors, inventory clerks, packer, pickers, and got them connected with the industry for jobs. So I did this for about 5 years till last year, and now currently involved as running a consulting organization with a group of friends, where going back to the industry, sharing our experiences and helping them out in improving their business operations. So that has been my journey till now, about 40 years, 42 years in the industry, and I now look forward for a new role to start with.
Incredible, incredible, Captain Kundra. Such a refreshing walk through your career. It's not every day we hear stories with that kind of depth and drive, truly.
You're right, wherever I was involved in a business situation, it was something different with no legacy behind. I learned few things from my seniors, like my MD, who was the MD of TCI, promoter of TCI. He used to wander. For 20, out of 30 days, about 20 days, he'll be traveling all over the country. I just wandering, going to branches, meeting people, meeting there, going to customers, not talking business, just trying to understand, have a look, feel of sense, see what's happening around, what are the opportunities coming around. So this trait of wandering around, so that you keep your antennas open, look around what's happening, meet people, of course, from junior to the lowest to the highest level, and see the operations on the ground. That was one area which helped me in taking up any challenge. I thought if everything there is a way out to do it. And obviously, linked to this, is you always have to have a very open mind. You cannot say, I only know everything. So you have to be a constant learner. And during your own learning experience journey, you probably are able to do few things which probably you would not have got the opportunity. The next, last, you have to be always very inquisitive. Always, the research mind approach, if how this was done earlier, what challenges they had, how did they mitigate that. So that inquisitiveness to analyze and learn from those experiences was something which helped me to always find something for some issues for the in an unknown situation. And of course, logistics is one area where it has to be it is a very broad canvas. Everything cannot be done by one. So collaboration and building up a collaborating model was something which I learned and I have practiced also, which is enabling me to us to take up different challenges. Like a small example, like we are running a consulting organization now, and we are all 30, 40 years old in the experience, but not knowing what is happening in the current new developments are not very known to us. So we found out a UK-based organization who has built a platform on business transformation to bring in exponential, incremental value proposition in terms of growth or whatever uh, pain points they have. So scouting for technology, scouting for partners, scouting and how to create those business models is something which has enabled me to be able to do what I've done. Not that it is very out of the box, but yes, you feel that you don't have the background, but you created the background as if you know everything by learning on the ground and then going it forward. So these are a few areas which I feel, along with that, you should be able to take some calculated risk. when you are doing something which is not sure what's going to happen, you need to take some risk and be mentally prepared that there is a failure also happening. And I realize that if you attempt 10 times, you will fail 4 or 5 times. You will not achieve your goals. But that's part of it. You can't be always be in the winning side. You have to be also on the losing side. But how to become a winner when you're a loser is also a great, I would say, opportunity. And going with delegation and team building. Trust your team, back them up. If something goes wrong, take it on yourself, and all goes well, give them the credit. So there are few things which I feel are in, inherent with me, which is enabling me to take any kind of role which comes forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So, continuing our conversation, Captain Kundra, I've always been fascinated by how leaders like you walk into completely blank slates, like greenfield projects, no structures, no system, just an idea and a deadline. And yet, you have not just built logistic operations from the grounds up, you have done it in some of the most complex sectors like cement. When you step into this kind of space, what's the very first thing you anchor yourself to? And what's that starting point that sets everything else in motion?
See, Sunny, every business opportunity and every situation, it'll be different than what was the other one. It's important that when I say, look, when we started the business of Gati, no, Gati came out of the necessity of the market requirement. the, at those times, if you recall, maybe you're very young now, but if you look at say, 30, 40 years back, we were all very contented people. We always felt that our life is going to be like this, will not be, you cannot make that transformation change and you be today what you are and compete with what's happening in the developed countries. So we were all contented. So, we take it as SE hoga. You can't be better than this. So what is that? So overcoming that situation, yes, you have to be the best, and you need to create the best out of it. That drive always gave generated an idea that this is the goal I have to be. So that idea of starting a service which has to be time bound, which has to be convenience, which has to be guaranteed, came out of the necessity of on the market. So how we went through learning from what's happening around us, what's happening outside, how they were doing it, and understood few concepts from them, and understood the local constraints, and then how do you dovetail them to align, adopt them. So that adaptability of bringing a new idea into your local condition becomes very effective in starting something which is a clean state. Or I give an example. Look at say installation of statue. Now, no one knew how to do it, but it has to be done. So we just explored the wonder all over. So that was again through necessity. So that was a blank state, but not that it was blind. It just during a brainstorming session, let's go and meet people, let's explore. So we did that. So I would say exploring, uh, adapting to change, collaborating with the people who have the expertise. These are the strong requirements when you are getting into a new business situation. So this is what I have been practicing, Sunny.
That was really powerful, Captain Kundra. Just hearing how you ground yourself when there is literally nothing built yet, that's something a lot of us can learn from. So I have to say, when I read that you have worked with over 300 customers and moved over 10 million tons of cargo, I just paused for a moment. That's not just scale, that's stamina, consistency, and a whole lot of pressure to keep things running right every single time. So, in an environment that's constantly shifting with so many moving parts, how do you personally keep things steady?
Sunny, see, we all have 8 hours, 10 hours. We don't go beyond that, and if you go beyond that, probably you're overstretching yourself and you may lose on your productivity. So, managing 300 is even much more than that. Customers or large volumes of, say, moving more than 1 million ton of cement every month, or inbound about 500,000 ton of raw material coming in. So it is all about trying to understand the KPI's expectation of different stakeholders involved with you. As a supply chain guy, your main stakeholder is your market, your business development guy, marketing guys, and the sales guys and the customer. Other side, you have your main client is the production, the plant head. He has to produce churn cement, make it available the way the market wants it. You have a team of collaborating partners who are there to carry out your services or offered transport services. Then you have a stakeholder who's developing your technology solutions. You're not an IT guy, but you know how to use an IT structure or the whole software churning out to giving some solution or analytics for it. So there's a finance guy who's supposed to feed you with the money to see that the operations are on. So your ability to list out the KPIs, I use that 80-20 rule very clearly that for every business, 20% is something which contributes to 80%. So what are those 20% areas? List them out, define your, put your processes in place that those are handled properly. They cannot be slipped out. If something is happening there, you should be proactively able to foresee that and collaborate with the user. What's this going to happen? Let's find an alternative of doing it. So the major focus is trying to identify the key areas which will make that significant change if any disruption is going to happen, and have a foresight and be proactive to see that you're able to handle if any surprise is coming. And application of technology has been playing a very great role in this to make things simple and easy. Today, we talk about 10 manufacturing locations, say, hundreds of customers moving, happening every day. You have a control tower. You build a control tower where on the dashboard you're able to see who's booking the order, where the order is booking from, where it is getting delayed. So what are the standards? Anything which is deviated from the standard that is getting popped up. So you only see the areas of concern. You don't see the things happening smoothly. So if you're able to spend that quality time only where you feel that your efforts are required to improve, managing this operation becomes a cakewalk. It's not that it is you don't have to work for it. You have to work for it, but it is not that I would say nightmare for you that you can't handle it. So you need to have the technology in place, the process in place, the teams in place, empowerment of teams to take place, and the collaboration with your stakeholders. So these are all the basics which are very essential for any good supply chain manager.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the sheer scale you have handled and the way you kept it grounded in discipline and systems is just inspiring, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, Captain Kundra, these terms like freight optimization and cost control get thrown around a lot in boardrooms. But when I look at the scale you have worked at, I know there is real substance behind those words. You have been in the trenches where small changes can save crores and the wrong move can ripple across the entire chain. So I'd love to know, was there a particular approach or a model you leaned on that actually moved the needle? Something practical that made a clear impact?
Sunny, I think so. In every role, this situation comes. And you have to use something out of the box approach. Now, cost optimization in every boardroom, I think so. The first topic of discussion is how can I improve my supply chain? You look at today's global world. The whole American, the Russian, the Chinese are all talking about supply chains. So the supply chain is something which enables you to see that you have the right product produced, reaching at the right time, at the right place, the right cost. Right. So every boardroom member will say, how can I improve my profitability? And they find that if I can improve my supply chain, I'll be a winner in my in enhancing my profitability. So there have been a number of things which we have done. I can quote from each sector, each industry. Like let's talk about cement. In cement, uh, today's scenario, it's the digitalization, the, the automation which is driving this complex operation. If you are able to make investments, right investments on the infrastructure and digitalization, you will be a game changer. For a simple example, you're moving your product from plant A or say plant in Hyderabad or Tandoor to Bombay. Now, there are many ways of going there. So if you use today the AI routing tool, which will capture what are the tolls, charges en route, what are the diesel price cost en route, what are the distances of operation en route, where the traffic jams are happening. So all this AI inputs gives you the best optimum route to be followed. A small change in this, you can bring in a saving of 10, 20, 15 rupees per ton, which is a huge change. 20 rupees ton means you're making a difference of 1 rupee a bag. And that's a profit which the company is looking forward for. Similarly, you have in a plant roughly churning out about 200 or 300 vehicles every day. So there is a time when one shift there is the assets idling because the trucks are not there. There's a time when there are more trucks, but the capacity is not to handle that. So how do you use your sense and response technology, your RFID, your process automation to see that the arrival of truck is forecasted in advance. The order is linked in advance, and without losing a minute, the truck moves in and takes the load and moves out. So the gate in gate out can be reduced to 4 to 5 hours, which normally takes 24 hours. So if I am able to save 24 hours of a truck, means I'm saving 2,000 rupees halting charges for a truck. These are all direct saving. So those small components, whether you operate your fleet efficiently, I've uh, last week I'm giving example. We are working on a very innovative product. There is a new startup which has developed a retrofit kit, which is a small kit mounted on a vehicle, which generates hydrogen through electrolysis. You have distilled water, you do electrolysis through passing current, it generates hydrogen. This hydrogen is fed into the engine of a vehicle instead of oxygen. So it will bring in improved burning of fuel, higher efficiency energy, saves about 15-20% of fuel efficiency. So this small change of putting a retrofit on the equipment, if it brings in 25% of fuel efficiency in your vehicle, which is contributing 40 to 50% of your cost, you're a winner. So the fleet owner will make money, the transporter will make money, the company will also make more money because they'll be able to bring the cost down. Likewise, what mode of transportation you use. You are, it is said that if you are on a short lead distance, road is the best. If you're on a long lead distance, you need to use multimodal, use rail, and you also save on sustainability and carbon footprints are also are saved. So you need investment on creating a terminal infrastructure at the plant where you get special rakes, wagon rakes where you can pump in bulk cement, transport say 600 kilometers, set up a small packing unit there, and do the bagging and deliver it. So this infra creation, which is capital intensive, and if your markets are big, can bring in a saving of 30 to 40% in your grocery cost. So it all depends on what situation you're operating on, what is the need of the market. You're able to bring in that change which will ultimately reduce cost and improve supply chain efficiency.
Captain Kundra, with everything you have achieved from the army to boardrooms and from building networks to moving nations, one can't help but wonder what's next for you. Do you see yourself shaping strategy at the board level more actively now? Or are there still untapped frontiers in logistics and leadership you are eager to explore?
Sunny, it's both. It's both, I would say. Uh, for me, to be in the boardroom is not new. I've been in the boardroom for a number of years. And yes, if you are actively participating in the boardroom and you understand the business, you can really create immense value to the leadership team there in terms of you know, looking at the strategy of growth, in terms of identifying what are the risks involved, what are the how to mitigate those risks there. The past experience or challenges you've gone through can be an input for seeing that we don't repeat those things again. So these are all value proposition, and you're able to look the market ahead of you, and that you can you can work with the board to look for medium and long term growth. So this will be something which you have not been involved. You have been involved in running an organization, so your antenna has been very limited to running the business successfully, but creating an impact to an organization for a long-term growth and sustainability is something which will be a great opportunity in the new role in the boardroom. But along with that, I think so staying grounded with your hardcore operation, which is your first love, is also important because the things are changing very fast. You need to be in touch with them, what's happening. So this grounding and this learning of what's the current best practices will also help the board leadership team in using this experience for the growth of the organization, mentoring the young mind, taking them, like being a Kashmir thing for them, see that they don't give up in between and they keep forwarding. That's what I look forward to do.
Honestly, that's the kind of forward thinking perspective that makes a real difference at the top.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Captain Kundra, in your view, what role does strong corporate governance play in navigating the kind of complex operations you have led? And how do you see it shaping leadership decisions in today's rapidly evolving business landscape?
Sunny, corporate governance is something I realize that value and importance now, not earlier. Earlier, no, your vision was limited to your limited goals you want to achieve. But now, as a corporate governance, you have a social responsibility. You have a responsibility of ensuring that the businesses are conducted in ethical practices. You have you have a role where you contribute to the society, part of the CSR initiatives. You have a role where there are certain corporate, uh, I would say, guidelines laid down in terms of pollution, in terms of your exploiting the nature. So all that changes, which is the need of the hour for our future generations to sustain. It's important that there has to be someone who will be not as a watchdog, but more as a torchbearer to set the boundaries, what you can do and what you cannot do. So this is where I feel the role. And when I was involved in running an organization, part of the board, we did, carried few of those governance guidelines in terms of your personal conduct, uh, going with the rule book of HR, or taking a policy decision that we will not take up any business opportunity through unethical means. It has to be through capability and through your strengths. So those short circuits has been prevented when you have a strong corporate governance laid down by the management team. So this is what I feel is the role of corporate governance.
And this perspective of yours really highlights the depth governance brings to real world leadership. Powerful stuff from powerful people.
Thank you, sir, very much. I enjoyed talking to you.
Great. So, Captain Kundra, you have recently joined Directors Institute community, and with your leadership journey, I'm sure you bring a wealth of perspective to the table. I would love to hear how has the experience been for you so far?
Sunny, I'm enjoying the journey. The journey has been very small. It just started about a few weeks back. So what I'm enjoying is the complete methodology of teaching. You have the same stuff. You have to read, you have to listen, and you have to participate. So I feel this kind of approach makes the learning much faster and more effective. I, I'm sure that whatever little learning I've done, it is enabling me to understand the role of a director in a broader wisdom better than what it used to be earlier. Earlier, I was more of a transaction-oriented guy, but now it gave me insight how and value-added proposition or you can create in the ecosystem of directors and Directors Institute. I think so is doing a wonderful job, and I would have a better role to contribute on my thoughts once I complete the course.
Amazing, amazing. Captain Kundra, that reflection really ties in the purpose of why we do what we do at the Institute. Thank you for sharing that so openly.
Thank you, Sunny, Jai Hind, and it was a pleasure having a conversation with you. I look forward to see you again.
Likewise, sir. Captain Kundra, this conversation has been nothing short of inspiring, from your early leadership days in uniform to the strategic boardroom mindset you bring today. It's been a privilege to hear your journey up close. So thank you so much for joining in, and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you for your kind words, Sunny. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, sir. And to our audiences, Captain Kundra's experiences are a masterclass in leadership, purpose, and execution. So, to our audience, thank you for tuning in to FaceTime with Leaders by Directors Institute. We will be back soon with more stories from the front line of leadership. Until then, keep leading with intent and impact. Thank you so much and have a nice day.